Part 5 is to write the process payroll function. Now this one is not going to be a class. This is going to be a function, and you're going to put a library that we're adding, right? So it's in the process payroll. So you're going to write the declaration for it in the .h file, and that's the first thing to do, is to write the declaration. And then in the process payroll CPP, you're going to write the function implementation. And what this function is going to do is it's going to declare a vector of payroll data pointers, and it's going to go through and read the payroll data, run the reports of that payroll data. And we're going to create the objects, a vector of payroll data pointers, because then we can create objects of type hourly payroll, salary payroll, and commission payroll, all in the same vector, right? The pointers are going to be pointing to payroll data. All of these are a type of payroll data. And so it will work for all of those. And notice how in the data it's all mixed up. There's hourly and salary and commission data. They're all mixed up. So you're going to read this file till the end of the file, so you get all of the data. And notice that they're different. So here the data for an hourly consists of H and 2 numbers and the name. The data for salary payroll starts with S and has 1 number and a name. And commission has a C followed by 3 numbers and a name. So you're going to read these each individually. And before you can know whether to read 1 number, 2 numbers, or 3 numbers after the character, you're going to have to read the character and then decide which way to read them, right? And you can do an if statement or a switch statement to be able to read the rest of the data that goes with that H and then create the correct type of object. So you'll read that data and do the and create an object of that type. And when you create it, you'll store that pointer in that vector. And so you'll go through and you'll do that over and over again. Now notice that you're reading a character here, so you can do that with a single char value. These are numbers, so you can just use those with the extraction operator. You can read these into the correct number types, variables. And then with the name, that's going to be a string, and you're going to read that into a string variable. And so you'll need to create variables to store these values. And then once you get all the values, one set of data, create the right object, store the pointer in that vector, and then move on to read the next set of data. First, you write the declaration, and then you write the implementation for this, right? What it's going to need. Notice it needs a lot in the header files. So it needs some of the standard headers, because we're going to use in fstream, string, and vector. But it also needs lots of those .h files that you've created also need to be included. And then you'll write the implementation for that process payroll function. Once you get that all written, and remember to go ahead and delete that dynamically allocated memory, right? Once you get that done, then you can test it out in main. You can call the process payroll function with this one test file that I've got there for you. So you can call it with that file and give it a file to output, and then call that function in main and see that it's doing what you want it to do. If it's not doing what you want it to do, go ahead and make the changes till it's doing what you want it to do. And then when you're ready to run the unit tests, one last time you're going to go into that cmakelist.txt file that is in the tests folder, and now you're going to uncomment. That just means to remove that # right there by process payroll and reload the changes. Now you're ready to run all of the unit tests. So when you run that, you'll be testing process payroll. You'll also be testing the work you did previously. And that runs them all. So really, when you get down here to the validate your code, you've already done that because you've done it one piece at a time. And now you've completely validated your code when all those unit tests are running and main is doing all of the things that are expected. Notice that in this particular project, you're doing a lot of things in main. You're really seeing how all of those methods work for each of those different data types. And then you're calling that process payroll function. So be sure and fully complete main and pass all the tests with that validate your code. Then go ahead, zip up your source folder and submit it to Canvas.